Well, hello everyone. It is Wednesday, and I'm actually doing the Making Mondays Matter episode, or this week's episode of Making Mondays Matter on a Wednesday. And there's, whew, it's been it's been one of those weeks, I guess you could say. But I decided I'd go ahead and do, rather than keep postponing this thing. Let me just go ahead and do it. But what I think I will do after this episode is I think I'm going to take the next week or two off. Um, those of you who don't know, I actually help to take care of uh, an elderly lady, sweet little Peruvian lady, born in the Amazon jungle, and she just had her 95th birthday this past Saturday. She was diagnosed with lung cancer a few years back, and she is now what I like to call transitioning. That's the term I like to use. But she's been under hospice care. I whenever hospice is not here, I help to take care of her, and it's been. I know I teach all about healthy living and living, um, but this has been a huge lesson in life, even as I watch someone move from this earthly realm into another. It's been so every time that I postponed, it's because of this. She's a sweet little lady, and we're related through marriage, um, but she's like having another grandmother all over again. You know, she has the stories that she told. I looked at her one day. This was a couple of months back, and I looked at her and I said, why would I ever go to a movie theater when all I have to do is just sit down and listen to you? Because the stories you tell are so incredible, true, but incredible none the same. So it's been the last week or the last few days have been a challenge. So, but I decided I would go ahead and do this particular live today, and then I'm going to postpone the one I had scheduled for 7:30 tonight, which was going to be a meditation. But I'm going to go ahead and postpone that one because I think the timing is going to be much better if I do it next week. Um, this one was all about the heart, and we're going to need some serious heart healing. I know I know I am. So I think I will go ahead and I will postpone that, and I hope everyone understands. And just it's hospice was here earlier, so maybe an hour and a half ago, and they're saying that she may have just a few more days. So I'm going to take this time to just kind of support the family. Her dog, she has 4 children, and they're all obviously they're grown children, but it doesn't make it any easier just because she's an older woman and the kids are grown. This is still their mama, right? So I'm going to take this time, just take a break from the live stream just to support the family during this time. So I hope you all just understand that. But I decided to go ahead and do this particular episode today. This was supposed to be the Making Mondays Matter um, episode for this week. But we're doing it on a Wednesday. Hey, whenever it's done, it is still appropriate, right? That the message is still appropriate, whether it's done on a Monday or done on a Wednesday. All right, so for those who I've just been rambling on, but for those of you who don't know me, my name is Gina Wells. I'm a complementary therapist practitioner, which basically means that I use or work with alternative therapies or complementary therapies such as herbs, essential oils, sound healing, that sort of thing, with people who may or may not be using pharmaceutical meds. So they may be making a decision to transition from pharmaceutical meds into more natural therapies, um, those type of things. So that's why I'm called a complementary therapist practitioner. I also like to call myself a transformation ambassador. Um, I've I've led a very, how do you put this, interesting health journey. I've come from being deathly ill to sitting in front of you today, even after three three near-death experiences and being told by the doctors that I probably wouldn't live to 45, and here I am at 52. And they're completely blown away, and that's good because that's what I want to do is blow people's minds to let them know, listen, just because you get a diagnosis that says, or doctors tell you that you're going to die, or you're going to live with this for the rest of your life, whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm here to tell you that, I mean, you can heal from these things, right? So yes, that's my title is a complementary therapist practitioner. So I do work with I just have had and I call it the distinct privilege and honor of working with this this sweet elderly old lady, and uh, yeah, with her, everybody has an expiration date. Mine is, I have one, you have one. She's just, she's lived a long life, a very long life. 95, like I said, she celebrated her 95th birthday, and it's been just a privilege and honor just listening to the stories that she had to tell, and just teaching. I mean, she's taught me a lot. She really doesn't think so, but she's taught me a lot. I've learned a lot from her over the last few months about just simply about living. Even as death approaches, she's teaching me all about living life to the fullest. So, and it's kind of interesting how the topic for today that thought about doing for today was, where the heck did time go, right? And when I wrote this down, I was thinking about my granddaughter who just started, well, not just, been a couple of weeks. She started her first day of kindergarten. And I remember when she was born, and I looked at my son, and I said to him, I said, in the blink of an eye, she's going to be starting kindergarten. So, hi, Kathleen. So I said to him, in the blink of an eye, she's going to be starting kindergarten. So on the first day of kindergarten, I called him up. He'd sent me a bunch of pictures and videos about, with her getting ready for school and everything. And I said to him, I said, do you remember that blink of an eye that I talked about when she was born? I said, this is it. And it literally just feels like it, zoomed by. In 5 years, she's already 5 and starting kindergarten. And it's like, where the heck did the time go? Because one minute I was rocking her and as a tiny little baby, and then blink of an eye, and she's starting kindergarten. And it was like that even with my own children. It's like, how did we get to this point? My son is grown with a child. Yeah, where did this time really go? And it's something we have to think about. So yeah, where does the time go that quickly? So if you sat down though, and we really think about something like this, because I'm going to kind of narrow it down a little bit. It's said that we're given 168 hours, I think 168 hours a week, something like that, right? And so kind of break it down. How do we spend that 168 hours a week? I think if I did my math right, somebody can figure it out 40 hours or 24 hours a day times 7, or yeah, I think it's 168 hours a week. So if we really sit down and kind of break it down, we can actually come to figure out where the time goes, and how we really spend our time, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about tracking our time, really tracking our time. And this is, like I said, it was kind of ironic that I thought about this and then talking to this lady, and she's able to tell me so many stories. From time she was a little girl growing up in the Amazon jungle, and just all of the stories throughout that at age 12, I think she said, or 11, getting her first pair of shoes, and just interesting things like coming to America and getting her house. It's just been, so she's able to track her whole life, track where she spent all of her time up until now. So 168 hours a week. So let's track it. For work and school, typically we spend about 40 hours, right? So the kids go to school for about 40 hours a week, and the grown-ups, let's say grown-ups, if you're not doing college stuff, you go to work for about 40 hours a week. And nowadays you have grown-ups who are doing both. You go to school or go to work, and then you're sometimes spending some evenings going to school as well, right? So work, school, about 40 hours a week, maybe a little bit more if you're doing the double, right? Sleep, um, I have down 56 hours, maybe less, maybe a little bit more, depending. So sleep about 56 hours. If we're looking at the average of 8 hours, 8 hours a night, with eating, bathing, dressing, doing whatever little chores, we may spend about 21 hours a week doing that, averaging about 3 hours a day, right? I don't know how many people actually sit down and eat for that length of, if I say 3 hours a day, maybe an hour at lunch, and the other 2 hours spent, bathing, dressing, doing chores, whatever, right? So about 21 hours a week. So 168 hours is what we're given. And if you add up all of those figures that I just gave you, the 40 for work and school, the 56 for sleep, 21 for the miscellaneous, eating, bathing. Well, eating is not really miscellaneous. You got to eat. Eating, bathing, dressing, chores. So all of that comes up to about 117 hours for the week, right? So when you subtract 117 from the 168 that we have, we're left with 51 hours to do whatever we want, pretty much. So how are we spending that 51 hours? Let's talk about that. So in this age of technology, and with Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and what other social media is there? We spend a lot of time with screen time on social media. And I believe that there is a way for you to figure out just how much time we spend on. I've never been able to figure it out. So I can't even tell you what app to go to or anything. But I think there is a way you can go to your phone, and your phone actually stores or records how much time you're spending on the screen. So I'm going to challenge you to find out how that's done. I wish I could tell you. I don't know. I have to ask my son, or ask one of my sons to let me know how to do that. But that'll be able to tell you how much screen time you actually utilize, right? Now, if you have a business and it requires you being on screen, if you're doing like a lot of virtual work, I'm not counting that as screen time. I'm talking about the things where we're just mindlessly scrolling, looking at stuff, and click onto your Instagram and we're liking and sharing, and that is the kind of stuff I'm talking about, where it's not necessarily used for growing a business or building a business. It's just a mindless scrolling. That is what I'm really referring to. If we're not using it to really connect, to people, that's what I tend to relate to or refer to as mindless scrolling, right? So 51 hours. How much time? Find out how much time you actually much screen time you actually utilize, and just see how many hours that comes up to for you. Now, with that 51 hours, I will give you some options, as some other ideas as to what we could do with that 51 hours to do whatever we want. How many of us volunteer? Volunteer at a food bank, volunteer at some kind of shelter, volunteer, throughout the community doing whatever, volunteer work. Exercising. Notice I didn't mention any exercising in the, eating, bathing, dressing, chores. I know some of us might think of exercise as a chore, but it's something that we need to be doing. Our bodies are designed to move, right? So volunteering, exercising, traveling. A lot of people love to travel, so some of that, and by traveling, I don't necessarily mean getting on a plane and going somewhere. We could simply travel to a park and spending some time at a park, right? Reading. When was the last time you picked up a good book, right? And just spend some time reading. Or spending time with friends and family. So those are 5 big things: volunteering, exercising, traveling, reading, friends and family, right? How much of the 51 hours that we have to do whatever we want are actually spent doing any of these 5 options? Let's think about that. All right, so as the Making Mondays Matter episodes, I like to give you some challenges. And they're 3-tiered. There's a low tier, medium tier, and there's a high tier. So with all of that information, knowing that everyone has about 51 hours every week to do whatever we want, sit down and think about how we're spending that time. And on the low tier, the low challenge, what I'd like to recommend is to cut back on the screen time. If you utilize whatever app that figures out how much hours you're actually spending mindlessly scrolling, then find a way of cutting back on the screen time. If you're not using it to build a business, to grow a business, then find out what other hours are just utilized by just, looking at stuff, liking, looking, sharing, whatever the case is. Cutting back to maybe an hour or 2, the most, a day. That's your low challenge, right? Cutting it back to 1 hour, between 1 to 2 hours a day. That should be plenty of time for you to catch up on what your friends are doing on Facebook or Instagram, or make that little Twitter post if you're on Twitter, or collect a few images on your Pinterest account. Whatever it is that you use social media for, separate from work, right? So that's your low tier. The medium tier, I would like to challenge you to set a routine where you block out a certain time every single day that is specifically just for you to do something special for you, right? And I don't mean this is excluding being on social media. We're going to narrow your social media, cut it down, cut the timing down. But this particular time is going to be specially for you, whether you're going to take an hour and sit and just read a couple chapters of a really good book, whether you're going to take that hour or 2 and go to a spa and get a massage, or go and get a pedicure, or go and get your nails done, or get a facial, just some time for you. Okay. When I think of exercise, it could be a jog, it could be getting a massage, because with a massage, that's also helping the lymph to move. It's helping your lymphatic system, and we don't get massages enough. So your exercise could be spending an hour at the gym, or it could be going to get a massage. But carve out a certain time for you every single day that's just for you to do something for you. That is your medium tier. Now your high tier, some of you may already be doing this. If not, then this is going to be a challenge. And I'm also talking to myself here, because even though I've spent one of the lessons I've learned working with this elderly lady is that I haven't really spent a lot of time like reaching out to a lot of people in my own family because I've been like so focused. So that's one lesson that I am definitely going to learn from, and this challenge is definitely geared towards me as well. So on the high tier, I want you to choose one person that you would like to spend some time with and carve out some time either every single day or sometime during the week where you can call that person up, you can do FaceTime, you can get together under safe conditions, whatever the case might be, and spend some quality time with this person, or two or three, or however many people that you feel the need that you need to reach out to. If you need to make a list um, of people and just pick one person each day that you're going to call during the week, and do that. Spend some time with that person. You could also, this could be a time when you also volunteer. So you could pick a couple people that you want to spend time with, and then maybe say one evening you go and, if it's allowed now. I know that this is a totally different time period. So if it's allowed, you could go and volunteer at the hospital. You could volunteer at a hospice house. You could find a volunteer at a soup kitchen, whatever the case might be, right? So that is going to be the high tier. So choose, after sitting down and kind of evaluating your 51 hours to do whatever you want, let your high tier be choosing at least one person that you'd like to spend some time with, and carve out that time, put it in pen, and call that person up and say, okay, this is our time, right? I know today seemed kind of simple, but it's probably a really big thing for most of us, is that carving out that quality time and really choosing to track our time and see what we're using our time for. I use my calendar. I have a calendar app on my phone. Let me see if I can just pull it up. So I have everything kind of in my calendar, and I have some things that are recurring. Like there are times in my calendar that I put in, it's called time to learn. So I put in the times that I want to study, because I don't know if any of you know, but I'm actually working on my doctorate at the moment. So I have times plugged into my calendar where I study, right? Called Time to Learn. And then there are different communities that I'm a part of, and we have like live streams. So I go into that. Um, this particular day was the Mondays Matter motivation. I'm actually looking at Monday. This was, yeah, I'm looking at November right now, actually. And it's already showing me things that I have pre-programmed in that are recurring. So if it's a recurring event, it's important enough for me to put it in there so that, I don't put any other time period, any other activity into that. So I have like a parent meeting every Monday at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock in the evening, that's in there. Now, I'm not saying that I don't, uh, that times don't come where I have to kind of not do something that's in my calendar. So if, for example, something happens and I'm not able to get into my time to learn period at 8 o'clock at night, considering the circumstances right now, then that doesn't happen. So I'm very, what do you say? Uh, you kind of have to go with the flow at times, but if it's important enough, put it into your calendar, and that is a good way for you to be able to track your time as well. And if you do have the app, or have an app where it tracks the amount of time you spend on social media, when you look at the amount of time that you actually spend on social media, it's probably going to shock you into, oh my gosh, I need to really start paying more closer attention to how I'm utilizing my time, where my time is going, and start maybe doing one of these little challenges that I suggested, right? So tracking your time, because I know a lot of us will be, we're doing something, and then all of a sudden we go somewhere, it's 1 o'clock, and then all of a sudden it's 5. We're like, oh my gosh, where did the time go, right? But if we're able to really sit down and say, okay, this is what I was doing, this is what I was doing, this is what I was doing, it makes a lot of sense, right? Don't just let time kind of pass you by, when you're just aimlessly doing nothing. It's and that's how I've been able to be more productive, is putting things in my calendar. If I have a girlfriends, with a couple of us girls who get together, put it in the calendar. If you need to make a standing date with a couple of your girlfriends a month, put it in the calendar and make it one of your non-negotiables. If you need to have a conversation with a family member every, sorry, that's I may be getting pulled out in a moment. But yeah, if you need to have a standing phone call once a week with a friend, put it in the calendar, make that a non-negotiable, and you'll begin to see once you start to track your time, your time is valuable. So don't just spend it aimlessly scrolling on Facebook and social media. Now, yes, a lot of my family members are on Facebook, and I utilize that as a way of keeping in touch with them. So if you're doing that, yes, but don't make it just a way of just scrolling, because a lot of my family is overseas. Facebook is the greatest thing. WhatsApp with free phone calls is the greatest thing. So yes, you to know how to use social media to really connect, not just aimlessly scroll all the time. All right, so that is Making Mondays Matter on a Wednesday. That is it for today. A reminder of your 3 tiers. The low is to just cut back on screen time, 1 to 2 hours a day the most. Okay. Your medium tier is to set a routine and just kind of block out some time for you and just do something good for yourself, whether it's exercising, going to get a massage, a pedicure, whatever, reading a good book, but just utilize it in a good way. And then your high tier is to choose one person or a few people that you'd like to spend some time with and make it happen. Make it happen. All right. So, like I said earlier, if you're just coming on, I'm going to be taking a break from doing these live streams for the next maybe week and a half, 2 weeks, because of I just want to kind of support the family as they're going through the transition. Um, it could be a matter of days, could be another week. We don't know, but I want to be there to support. And like I said, I'm the caretaker for her majority of the time whenever the hospice nurse is not here, or the chaplain is not here, or whoever is involved in the hospice, right? So I just want to make sure that I'm here to support as much as I can. So I just want to let you know I'm not leaving. I'm not giving up on these live streams. I'm just taking a break in order to support a family that I've been helping. So I know that we did have a live stream planned for this evening. I'm going to reschedule that, and I think the time that I reschedule it for is going to be so much more meaningful and probably well needed, because that's the heart healing meditation. Um, and I know that I'm going to need it then too. So, but thank you to all of you who stopped in and supported, and it's been I enjoy doing the live streams because I love to connect with my audience. And Kathleen, you're so welcome, and everyone else who's been watching, because there've been a few. Thank you so much for stopping by, and yeah, just if you're a praying person, just whisper a prayer of just thank you and support. And it, one of the things I've been saying a lot is just thank you for her life. It's been a long life, and I've learned so much. It's just amazing how when you teach about living, and you teach about um, living in a healthy way, and taking care of the temple and that sort of thing, and then you get into in a position where you're helping someone to transition. It's just amazing the lessons that you can learn from death. and that's going to be a whole other discussion much later on. But I don't know. I always say God always has a plan for where He places you. There's never a mistake where you're placed or whatever it is that you're going through. So there's I know that I'm learning a lot. I've learned a lot from this journey. So, and on that note, thank you again, and I will see you all again real soon. Um, but in the meantime, just whisper a prayer or light a candle. However, I would appreciate it. Thank you so much. Love you guys, and I'll see you all again real soon.